Hello everybody, this is ByaGamer, and on Friday, the 10th of June, I went and seen Warcraft the movie. It's taken me a couple days to make this video because it was completely amazing. I was speechless, and I really didn't know what I was going to say in the video because it is just such a good movie, and I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, especially after what the critics said. And I know I've learned to ignore what the critics say because they're a bunch of dumbasses, honestly. Every time they say a movie's bad, it turns out to be really good, and when they say a movie's really good, it turns out to be really bad, and it's just how it goes. So, the first part of this video is going to be spoiler-free. I'm just going to throw out my opinion on aspects of it that will not give out spoilers, like the effects. They were awesome. The movie was announced like 10 years ago, maybe more. And when I first heard that the movie was actually coming out, and I seen the trailers, and I thought to myself, this looks fucking awesome. But I kind of wished that it would have came out 10 years ago when Warcraft, or World of Warcraft, or any of the Warcrafts were much more relevant than they are today. I mean, they're still relevant, but they're not as relevant as they were. And the hype train is pretty much gone on Warcraft. It's just, I was really hoping to see it 10 years ago. But now that I've seen it, I'm gonna say that I am glad they waited, because honestly, when you throw in live action and you throw CGI in the same picture, it tends to look out of place. You've got CGI characters mingling with live action characters, and it tends to look bad. It's just how it is. You see it in all kinds of movies. It's usually not a good thing. And that's why I say I'm glad that they did wait, because now technology's gotten so good, and Blizzard is apparently really good at making movies. I didn't think it was going to be the case, but I always wanted to see a Warcraft movie using the CGI you see in the cinematics in the games, because Blizzard's always been fucking great at cinematics. And I always thought, if there's going to be a movie, I want it to be in the same quality of cinematic awesomeness as the cinematics. Just pure CGI. That's what I wanted. Now they can make it so that it's a live action movie with tons of CGI, but it's seamless. It was seamless. The effects were seamless. The characters, the orcs, were seamless. The orcs looked like real flesh and blood creatures. They didn't look CGI at all, except for maybe Gul'dan, because he had like the glowy eyes, but it was seamless. The story was awesome. They did a wonderful job storytelling. I have no gripes about how they told the story. There was no I don't know. It was just not bad. It was great. It was wonderful. Character development was fucking magnificent. You fell in love with the characters almost instantly. They were just designed so good, and they were introduced into the movie perfectly. A lot of people complain about the story and the character development and how you just don't care about them. I think they're full of shit, honestly. It was one of those movies where you fall in love with the characters instantly. And if they say they didn't, they're fucking lying. And if they're not fucking lying, they have no taste in movies. They're obviously one of those people who just like weird movies that are shit. Honestly, everybody's got their own opinions, but no, this movie was that good. The plot was incredible. It was... this part of the video, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I'll just say it was incredible. Everything about the plot was magnificent. And when it comes to the lore accuracy, it was pretty accurate on a lot of points. I'm not a lore fanatic. There's a lot I don't know. I never played any of the original Warcraft games. Diablo 2, was when I first started playing Blizzard games. And I played Diablo 2 for quite a few years, and then World of Warcraft came out, and my brother and a friend of mine and a couple other people were playing, and I thought it looked cool. And about, I think it was the second half of Vanilla is when I first started playing World of Warcraft. I didn't know Warcraft was a thing. I thought Blizzard only did StarCraft and Diablo, and that's all I thought there was. I didn't know there was a Warcraft until World of Warcraft. So I started playing World of Warcraft about halfway through the second half of Vanilla, and I've been playing ever since. So it's been well over 10 years since I've been playing Warcraft, or World of Warcraft. But the fact is, I never played a Warcraft game except for World of Warcraft. So I don't know the lore. So I've been doing some research ever since I watched the movie, and it turns out there are parts that are inaccurate, which I'll get into in the second half of this video. So take it with a grain of salt. That's how movies are. You got pretty much any movie that is based off of a game or a book, they're gonna change the lore. It's just how it is. You gotta accept it. And I've accepted it. I accepted it with Lord of the Rings. I accepted it with The Hobbit. I accepted it with Harry Potter. Yeah, with Harry Potter and the other ones, it kind of got on my nerves. But I've gotten so used to them changing things that I learned to look at a movie for what it is. And this Warcraft movie was flawless. I don't give a shit that they changed the lore. It was incredible. It was amazing. It was what I've been waiting for over 10 years. And it exceeded my expectations on every single front. That doesn't happen with me with movies. It never happens to me with movies. Usually, I'll be hyped for a movie, and I watch it, and I really, really liked it. If it's one of my favorite movies, I end up really, really liking it, but I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to. It's just how it is. Back to the effects. You would think that spell effects would be... And I'll say this, because it's not a spoiler, it's in the trailers. You would think the spell effects would be the least seamless CGI in the movie, but that's not true. It was probably one of the most noticeable CGI aspects, but they were still so seamless. I love that word for this movie, seamless, because that's how this movie was. This movie was very seamless on everything, basically. But the spell effects weren't the most noticeable CGI. Honestly, in my opinion, the most noticeable CGI came from the Griffins. And I will say that because the Griffins are in the trailers. And so everybody knows there's Griffins in the movie. The Griffins were the most fake-looking things in the movie. But they were still awesome. There was nothing wrong with the Griffins. They were fucking incredible. They were actually probably one of my favorite features of the film was the Griffins. They were fucking awesome. One thing I want to get clear is, yeah, you will appreciate this movie more if you are a fan of Warcraft, and especially if you're a fan of gaming. But a lot of people out there will say, oh, this movie's only good because they like World of Warcraft or Warcraft in general. They like Blizzard games. They're a gamer. No. Even if I was not a gamer, if I've never played a game in my life, if I was one of them sports freaks who's never played a game, or a gambler, or whatever the case may be, somebody who likes to just hang out outside and do whatever the fuck, which obviously I don't, you can tell. Yeah. I'm a lot whiter because I got a light right there, directly above me right there, and it's like shining right on my face, so my face actually looks extremely pale as compared to what it really is, but you can tell I don't spend a lot of time outside. And even if I was one of those people who has never gamed in my life, I would love this movie. That's how fucking good it was made. So that's not a thing. That's definitely not a thing of my opinion. It's just, it really helps my opinion, is the fact that I'm a gamer, and especially a Warcraft gamer. Well, a Blizzard gamer, I'll say, because I never played Warcraft, I played WoW. So, from here on out, there will be spoilers. So I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to click off the video if you don't want spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, click off now. So, if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want spoilers, I'm assuming you've clicked off the video by now. So, the movie starts off. And I'm going to tell you right now, my memory's shit. With anything I do, my memory is shit. I mean, I can remember that I fucking loved the movie and everything in it, but I'm probably going to leave parts out because my memory sucks that bad. So I can't remember exactly how it started. I think it was... That's right, it starts off with Gul'dan and the orcs over in Outland. And it's all destroyed and shit, and it's all decrepit and stuff, and there's a bunch of Draenei in cages. And I was extremely excited. I just looked at my webcam over here and I saw the cat go in the background. That was Nubby Kitty. Anyways, and he's a nub. We call him Nubby because he doesn't have a tail. It's just a little nub. Anyways, off track. It starts off with all these Draenei in cages, and Gul'dan and the orcs, and they're all standing outside the gate. And the Draenei were designed so fucking good. They were so good. I mean, they looked perfect. The only thing they really lacked, and I don't know if it's because they were in such a weakened state, when you look at a Draenei in Warcraft, or WoW, I don't know if they're, I'm pretty sure they're probably in Warcraft, they've got the glowy diamond thing on their forehead. The Draenei that they showed in the movie only had like an impression of a diamond. It's all messed up how I'm drawing it, but an impression of a diamond. It was like a scar. There was no glow. It was just skin with an outline of a diamond. I don't know if that's because they were so weakened that the energy from whatever is glowing there just wasn't showing up. I don't know. But they were so fucking well designed. The horn, the horns, the goat horns, and their skin and the way they looked was perfect. It was fucking awesome. Their eyes were glowy, the white and stuff. It was fucking incredible. And the one grabs... I forgot the name of the female half-orc that shows up. I think she's half Draenei, half-orc, but I don't know the lore. I think her name was Karima or Corona. Corona, that's her name. One of the Corona was a slave at this point. She had the necklace, and a chain necklace with the lead being dragged away by Gul'dan, I think. And one of the Draenei grabs her arm and says something in the Draenei language, which was so fucking cool. And it was basically like, you save my son, let him free, whatever. And Gul'dan's like, what did she say? And Corona's like, she wants you to free her son. And he's like, no, we need him. And she's like, ah! It was awesome. Delicious, just so deliciously evil. Gul'dan. This is the only thing in the movie that really bugs me is... Gul'dan's voice was incredible. The guy who did his voice was fucking great voice actor. But it wasn't Gul'dan's voice. It was too high-pitched. Gul'dan's supposed to have a super deep, bassy, evil voice. This guy was a moderately deep, bassy, evil voice, which sucked because... Aside from the fact that Gul'dan is super evil, which is my favorite thing about him, he's an evil-ass, fell orc warlock, which is just my favorite thing about him. But aside from that, my next favorite thing about him is that he's got that deep, crisp, bassy voice that I can't replicate because my voice doesn't go that deep. And this guy didn't have it. This guy wasn't able... I'm guessing he was probably the best they could do. They probably couldn't find anybody to replicate the voice, and the guy who does Gul'dan's voice in the game, or the games, probably wasn't willing to do the voice for the movie, which is extremely sad. So that's the only thing, that's my only gripe of the movie. Like, literally, that is my only gripe, is Gul'dan's voice. And it's not even that big of a gripe because I loved the voice for Gul'dan in the movie. It just wasn't as good as it is in the games. Now... And then it goes on to, there's a mass amount of Draenei in cages stacked up next to the portal. And you see Gul'dan, he stands in front of the portal and does an epic soul siphon on all of the Draenei. He just sticks his arms out in both directions. I can't get myself, I'm all on the camera here. But he sticks his arms out in both directions, and you just see the whites, the souls are white in the show, in the movie, and they just get sucked out from both directions as huge streams converging into Gul'dan. And he uses that power along with, spoilers, Medivh's power to, you probably already knew that if you know the lore, but I don't know the lore, so I was really fucking blown away. Along the power of the Fel, the power of the Draenei souls, and the power of Medivh opened the portal, and they were able to usher their forces into the dark portal into Azeroth. And then they pan over Ironforge, just like it was just like you see in the games. They did that flying camera kind of thing in front of Ironforge over you see it sticking out of the mountain, and I got emotional as fuck because it was so perfectly designed. Everything was perfect about it. I had these tears rolling out of my eyes. I was just so happy. I wasn't sad. I was so incredibly happy that I had tears rolling out of my eyes, and I had to get rid of them. And then they bring you into Ironforge, and they didn't go out showing off all of Ironforge because that would take fucking forever, and we don't have that kind of time in a 2-hour movie, which I'm pretty sure it was. At least a 2-hour movie, maybe a 2.5-hour movie. There's not enough time for them to show off all of Ironforge. But they managed to show Lothar and a dwarf and another dwarf in the Great Forge, right in the middle of Ironforge where the Great Forge is. I don't know how else to explain it. The Forge. And, you know, they get a message and whatnot, and the guy just made his first, the dwarf guy made his first blunderbuss. It was like a pistol blunderbuss, and Lothar had no idea what the fuck it was. He's all like sticking it in his face, barrel to his nose, smelling it and looking in the frickin' barrel and stuff. He has no idea what the fuck it is. It was just hilarious. Basically, so he goes back to Stormwind, I think. Honestly, I can't remember what happened after that, like the initial what happened. But so there's a point where they go to Karazhan. I think it was Lothar, the king, I think. Yeah, it was the king. Lothar. Oh, they introduced Khadgar, who was this young guy with dark hair and dark eyes, actually. He had dark eyes. His eyes only seemed to glow blue when he was using mana magic, arcane magic. Sometimes it was kind of hard to tell what school of magic Khadgar or even Medivh was using, because it would be an energy, and a lot of times it was blue, which tells you it's probably frost spells, but there was no ice. There was no ice. There was no frosty effects. So it makes you think probably arcane magic. But arcane magic is supposed to be purple. So I don't know what kind of effects they were using. You could definitely tell when they used fire, because it was like a fucking fireball and boom, explosion. Fucking incredible. But, yeah, they introduced Khadgar, and they need to go talk to Medivh and about these, it was the garrisons. The human garrisons were being attacked. And they're like, oh, what the hell? So they go talk to Medivh and whatnot, because they found a corpse. That's what it was. They found a corpse in one of the garrisons who was all decrepit and wrinkly, and almost like all the life has been sucked out of him. And Khadgar's looking at the corpse, and Fel energy poofs out of his mouth, and he freaks out, and he's like, we gotta go get Medivh, because the Guardian, because he'll explain it. I can't explain it. He needs to be the one to explain it to you guys. So they all go get Medivh, and he's creating a giant golem. It's fucking cool as shit. And Medivh, at first, I was like, why did they choose this guy? He's kind of short, scrawny. He's got like a dirty brownish, blondish hair color, and this long beard. Because I couldn't remember what Medivh looked like. It's been so long since I ran Karazhan and saw the echo of Medivh, or even the Black Morass, and saw Medivh casting the thing in the portal where you gotta protect him. It's been so long since I've seen what he looked like in the games that I was like, why did they choose this guy? He doesn't looked like Medivh to me. But then I went and ran Rant today, or actually technically yesterday, with my brother and mom, and I got a good look at the Echo of Medivh, and I can see why they chose that guy. The only thing that didn't fit was his height. This guy was kind of short. I mean, in comparison to how tall the Echo of Medivh is in the game. I mean, the Medivh in the game is like 7 foot tall. I swear to God, he's humongous. He's taller than Drane. And this Medivh was probably like 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", not 6 foot. He wasn't even 6 foot. So he's a short little guy. But the facial structure, and Medivh has black hair. This guy had like a light brown, like a dirty blonde hair color. But the facial structure and the way his facial hair was set up, and what little you could see of the hair of the Echo of Medivh was pretty spot on for this guy. So I was like, okay, I'm down. And you know, they're trying to convince Medivh that there's Fel in Azeroth, and he's like, that's not possible. And so they convince him to go looking around for some reason. I can't remember why. And he goes looking around, and he's trying. He learns that there is Fel, and he goes and does his thing. And the Alliance, well, the human forces, I don't think the Alliance is around yet. I mean, yeah, they're all working together, but I don't think they're the Alliance. Because at one point there's a council meeting, and it's got dwarves. There's high elf. There wasn't even night elf. There was high elf. There was dwarves and humans and high elf and mages, Kirin. So I don't think the Alliance is formed in this movie. One of my buddies who knows the lore pretty accurately was telling me that at this point the Alliance wasn't even a thing, and it comes around, I think, in the second Warcraft, or Warcraft 2, whatever the fuck that game was called. Probably just Warcraft 2. And they're going through Elwyn Forest, and here comes the tears again. Because Elwyn Forest was designed perfectly. It was so foresty. I mean, honestly, it was so lush and beautiful and absolutely gorgeous. And it looked like what Elwyn Forest would look like if it was an actual forest. Because Elwyn Forest doesn't seem like a forest. It seems like plains with a lot of trees. Because when you're in World of Warcraft and you're running through Elwyn Forest, yeah, there's a lot of trees, but not enough for a forest, and not enough shrubbery, not enough vines and stuff. This was a legitimate forest, and it was so fucking good. And they're traveling through, and they're showing off like an aerial view of all the garrisons that are on fire and shit. And they encounter their first orcs, and that brawl was so epic. Oh, it was so good. Medivh shows up, and Khadgar's there, and the orcs are just annihilating the humans, because the humans have never encountered orcs before. They didn't even know what an orc was. They were like, what are these monstrosities? These big bulbousy creatures with huge bodies and teeth, and they didn't know what the fuck they were. They were not prepared. But so the orcs are crushing them, just annihilating all the humans. And of course, you know, the main characters survive, because that's just how it is. You know, all of the footmen, the lowly soldiers were acting as meat shields for the king and Lothar and all the higher ranking people that were part of this scouting party. People, this group. And Medivh realizes that these creatures probably have Fel in their bodies, so he uses this kind of spell that was fucking cool as shit. It puts like this webbing of blue energy on the ground. I think it was actually blue. Or was it white? It might have been white. I don't know. It was this energy that just sprouted in all directions, and all of the Fel orcs got sucked to the ground, and the Fel energy was being sucked out of them, and they pretty much decayed right there. They were just decaying. Just you see their essence being pulled out of them, and there's and the orcs that were in the group that did not have Fel energy were not being affected at all. So I know it was definitely targeted towards Fel energy. Because my first thought was this is just a suppression spell of some sort, but it turns out it was a Fel suppression ability. I don't know. It was cool shit. Dorotar, who doesn't have any Fel in him, and a couple of the other orcs get away, and they steal some horses, and you know they had barrier. The Medivh and Khadgar were using these barrier effects that completely surrounded them in energy. It was like a blue energy, And my brother actually thought it was ice block, but thinking back, there was no ice. It was just a blue barrier that nothing could penetrate. It was incredible. It was fucking awesome. One thing they did change was the teleport and portal effects. You know, in World of Warcraft, when you teleport, you just and you disappear and you reappear at your destination. And when you create a portal, you know, and this circle thing appears, which I can't get. This circle-ish kind of portal appears, and you click on it, and you go through, and you end up in your destination. The portal and teleport effect were the same in this movie, and I thought I would hate that. But by the first time they used it, by the time they got done using it the first time, I was sold. I hope Blizzard changes with Legion. I hope they'll make this change to change the portal and teleport ability to look exactly and work exactly like it did in the movie. So basically what it does is they create this little... They hold their hand something like this or something, and a ball of white energy forms. And you got these ribbons of energy shooting out around them, and they're just ribbons of energy. And they connect to the ground, and there's a rune on the ground. And anybody in the rune gets teleported to where the mage is teleporting you to. There's no portal. There's no circular portal. It's just a teleport ability. That's really all it is a teleport ability. And, you know, if there's nobody in it, you alone teleport. If there's anybody else in it, they teleport with you. And it was just incredible. It was one of the most unique spell effects I've ever seen in any movie. And there's tons of fantasy movies out there with all kinds of spell effects. And this was probably my favorite one. Except for maybe like fire explosions and stuff that like mages can throw. Or Kagdar shoots a fireball at one point and blasts an orc away. That was cool as fuck. But aside from fire effects, this was the coolest spell effect I've ever seen. So, you know, it goes on, and you know, they're trying to they set up this little meeting with the orcs, and they're trying to convince the humans to help them take out Gul'dan so that there can be peace. And apparently Erotan's buddy decided he didn't like the idea of this and told Gul'dan or Blackhand, one of the two, and Blackhand's forces ended up being hidden there, and they attacked and blah blah blah, and you know, some soldiers died and some orcs died, plenty of orcs died, and you know, Corona's there as well. You know, by this point she's on the human side because, you know, she just hates Gul'dan and she's trying to stop him, so she joins the humans because she got captured, and she's there and she's helping kill off all orcs, and it was fucking epic. She was a beast. She reminds me of a rogue because, you know, there's times where she uses the dagger in one hand and a sword in the other, and she just, you know, slashing and stabbing and stuff, and just, it was so cool. And Medivh casts like this lightning barrier to separate the oncoming orc wave from the humans so the king and all his forces can get away, and Lothar's son gets trapped on the other side, and Blackhand looks at Lothar, and as he's looking at Lothar, just stabs his claw thing through Lothar's son belly, and Lothar's standing there seething with hatred, and he hates Medivh at this point. And Medivh's passed out because he used too much energy, or the fell's affecting him. I'm not sure which one it was. I don't know if he used too much mana or if he was being affected by the fell. I don't know. But either way, he passes out, so the field stays up, and he can't let Lothar through, and he can't let his son get out, so he pretty much... Lothar thinks Medivh doomed his son to death, is pretty much how it feels. So they get back, and, you know, Lothar's pissed off. Of course he is, because his son just got killed in front of him, and he thinks Medivh did it. So Lothar's really pissed off, and he gets restrained to a cell, and Khadgar saves him. One of the most funniest scenes. You know, the guard's standing out there, and Lothar's like, "I'm calm. Let me out." And then he gets pissed off because the dude's ignoring him, and he's like, "Come on, you gotta let me out." And the guard's just sitting there, and he goes... But the only reason it was funny is because he's not moving at all. He's got his helmet on. He's got the fucking Stormwind garb on, which was so perfect. The armor was just so true to how Stormwind armor is supposed to look. And you just hear with his helmet rubbing on his armor. It was just fucking hilarious. I laughed my ass off. And then, you know, Lothar is like, ah, it's Cage! And Khadgar comes in and polymorphs the fucking guard into a sheep. It was incredible. And he was like, what the fuck do you do? Oh, he'll be like this for another minute. We gotta get out of here. And, you know, he busts him out. And then, somewhere along the lines, I'm not gonna be able to tell you guys everything about the movie, because one, it would give you no reason to watch it ever again. And, or watch it ever. And, plus, my memory sucks. So Lothar catches up with the king, who's got a party, and they're heading out to stop Gul'dan's forces, who's captured a whole bunch of citizens from Stormwind, or the Stormwind citizens, at least from the garrisons, not actual Stormwind, but, you know, the citizens of the humans, garrisons and whatnot. And they're capturing them so they can open up the portal again to get the rest of the orcs that are still in Outlands to Azeroth. So they need to open the portal again. So they're collecting a bunch of humans to steal the souls and whatnot. And the king and a bunch of his forces, including Corona and Medivh, are heading out to get the citizens back and to kill Gul'dan. And so Khadgar and Lothar, they catch up. Well, they don't really catch up, but they head out to go with. And my memory's failing me, so I'm just going to skip to some of the cooler bits. So Khadgar does some research because he stole a book from the library. He stole a book because there was this ghostly figure. It was like a shadowy figure, and it went into the wall before Khadgar could get to it. And he has this like tattoo, like right here, kind of like mine actually. It was about the same positioning, maybe a little higher, maybe up here a little bit, but it was like the Kirintor tattoo, and it was lighting up when he would point it at the book that he needed to read. Apparently, he took that book that the thing told him to take, and he stole it from Medivh's Karazhan library, and he's doing some research, and he learned that there was a figure, or a character, an entity, that helped open the portal from Azeroth's side. So it wasn't just Gul'dan, something or someone helped. And he's going around, and it shows Lothar, and he's trying to figure it out, and they don't know who it is. They just know that there was someone that did it. And turns out it was Medivh. But, so I think they went to Karazhan after that point. I'm trying to remember here. Yeah, I think they needed to talk to... Yeah, they had to talk to Medivh at this point, I'm pretty sure. So they go, and he's pretty normal at first, if I remember right. But then he shows his true colors, his eyes go green and shit. He turns into a demon at some point. He's activated the golem. The golem's fighting with Lothar and Khadgar, and it was epic. And apparently that's not supposed to happen either, so the lore was a bit wrong there. Me and my brother aren't too sure. My mom, she plays the games, but she doesn't know any of the lore. I know more lore than she does, and that's saying something. We're pretty sure the demon that possessed Medivh, the demon that Medivh turned into, was Sargeras. Which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I guess it does, because Sargeras is supposed to be humongous. And this guy was a demon the size of a human. But I guess that would happen if you possessed a human. If you possessed a human, you wouldn't be able to turn into a humongous demon. You would just resemble the demon that you are. I don't know. It was epic, though. And so he's chanting this chant that opens the portal, and the portal opens, and some more orcs come through, and at this point the king and everybody's fighting the orcs, and they're trying to stop it and trying to get to Gul'dan, and all this crazy shit happens. And Lothar and Khadgar trying to stop Medivh from chanting his spell so the portal will close. And one of the cool things was, and this is apparently not how it's supposed to happen, but Lothar chops the golem's head off, or at least from the mouth up, so that it can't it can't see, so it's kind of stumbling around in the library. And he's trying to stop Medivh while Khadgar is trying to stop the golem. And Khadgar gets this brilliant idea to open up a portal, a teleport portal thing. And it's that ribbony spell effect thing with the runes on the ground. And he's got it opened up. And the golem's trying to get to him because he threw something at the golem to get his attention. And the golem's inching its way to him, feeling around, trying to find him. And as soon as its foot lands in the teleport, because, you know, Khadgar's slowly backing out of the portal, so it's got room for its foot to land in it. And as soon as he gets out and the thing's foot's in there, he teleports that golem, which is humongous, above demonic Medivh, and it drops on top of him, pins to the ground. The demon's all like, "Rah!" and shit. And Lothar's like, I don't remember what he said, but it was something epic. And Khadgar, what he does, it was fucking cool. See, Deadwind Pass in the movie starts off lush and green, trees everywhere, and then you got Karazhan popping out from the treetops, and it's humongously tall. And Khadgar does this thing where he sucks all the fel energy out of Medivh, turning Medivh back into a human, and he also sucked all the fel energy out of the well, this mana well that Medivh got his power from. Because, you know, once Medivh became fel, he corrupted it and turned it into fel instead of mana. So he sucks all the fel out of the well and Medivh, turning Medivh back into a human, and he starts radiating green from his mouth and his eyes and his nose, so he's corrupted by fel. And Lothar's like, oh! And before Khadgar can lose his sense of himself, he pops a barrier on top of Lothar so that he can't hurt Lothar. And then he remembers, he thinks back to when he went to Dalaran, because this happened earlier. He goes to Dalaran. Oh, Dalaran was amazing! Everything about Dalaran was just fucking perfect. The Curator mages were so cool. They're glowing blue with mana. And he goes into the sphere relic kind of artifact they have in Dalaran. And it had runes on it, and they're all trying to do something with it. I don't know what they were doing. They were shooting these spells at it, which would, like, sweep up the sides of this cubish-looking artifact. It was like its cube with runes, and it would light the runes as the spell went up, and it was really cool. And they mentioned the Dark Portal, and then a doorway opens up in this cube. And he's like, what is this? Khadgar looked at the mage dude, and he's like, what is this? And the mage dude was looking at it like in awe, and he's like, I don't know, it's never done that before. And Khadgar's like, should I go in? He's like, I don't know. So Khadgar just goes in. He's like, fuck it, I'm going in. And he sees this shadowy old lady, who I don't know who she is. They didn't really explain. She just mentioned that she used all her power to get in contact with her. She was the shadowy form in the library who showed Khadgar the book. And she tells him this thing about, in darkness there is light, and light there is no, in light there is darkness, and darkness there is light, or something like of those lines. It's probably not word for word, but something along those lines. And anyways, going back to fel Khadgar, he's all losing himself, and his eyes glow even more brighter, and he recites that line of darkness, light, light, darkness, blah blah blah, and then there's an explosion of energy, and it blows the whole top off of Karazhan. So if you go into World of Warcraft and you go to Karazhan, you will see, after you've watched the movie, you will see that the Karazhan in World of Warcraft is much shorter than the Karazhan in the movie, because the explosion happens that Khadgar's expelling all of the fel energy from him, and this fel blast wave blows the top off of Karazhan, and the shockwave just annihilates Deadwind Pass and turns it into how you see it in World of Warcraft. That barren wasteland with dead trees everywhere. It looked flawlessly perfect. It was Deadwind Pass at this point. It wasn't no forest like it was prior in the movie. Now it's actual Deadwind Pass with the short version of Karazhan. It was so cool. But so now, you know, Khadgar's all passed out on the ground. He's not passed out. He's on his hands and knees, gasping for breath. And Lothar's like, "Let me see your eyes," because he wants to see if there's any more green fel. And there wasn't. He looked up at it, and his eyes were dark and just normal. Actually, I think they were a little blue. Yeah, there was mana blueness in his eyes, so he was perfectly fine. And Lothar's like, all right, I'm out of here, and he jumps out of the hole in the wall, and Griffin catches him and takes him off to see the orcs and whatnot, and try and stop Gul'dan. And you know, the battle's ensuing on there, and Corona's helping the king and everybody, and in the midst of the fighting, it switches back to Medivh and Khadgar's like at his side, basically crying. I mean, he wasn't crying, but he was basically crying. He was really upset because he always strived to be like Medivh. That was his mentor. They didn't say Khadgar was Medivh's apprentice in the movie. They just said he was the next up to be guardian. But in the real lore, apparently Khadgar was supposed to be Medivh's apprentice. That's another thing that didn't follow with the lore, but I don't care. It was awesome. So Medivh's dying, and with his last breaths, he was like, I just wanted to protect. I just wanted to protect everybody. I wanted to protect Azeroth. That's all I wanted to do. Because when he turned into a demon and started opening the gate, he wasn't himself. He was completely possessed. He wasn't there. Medivh wasn't there at all. He had no idea he was doing this. So it was epic. And then he starts doing this chant, which turns the dark portal into a portal to Stormwind. And they free the king and all of the human forces, free the human hostages, I guess you could call them. They're all escaping the Stormwind, and as Medivh dies, the portal closes, and there's humans left. There's like 5 humans left, just regular citizens, and there's orcs on the other side of the portal waiting for it to come down, and they just slaughter. The orcs just slaughtered those humans, those civilians, those poor people had no chance. So now there's a bunch of orcs and only a few humans, and the humans are getting slaughtered. The forces, they're getting slaughtered, and in the middle is Corona and the king. Now here's another thing the lore got wrong, or at least the movie got wrong from the lore. In the lore, apparently Corona, I hope I'm saying her name right, I can't remember. Apparently Corona was supposed to have tricked the humans. She never intended to become a part of their society, and she was just waiting for her opportunity to have honor by killing the king, I guess. So in the actual lore, as the king turns towards Blackhand, because Blackhand is pushing his way through the orc forces coming towards the king, and the king turns to face Blackhand, and Corona seizes her opportunity. She's just like, oh, I'm going to kill him now, it's my time, and she stabs him with her knife and kills him. And she's like, yeah, I killed the king, bow to me, orcs, or whatever the fuck, I don't know. This is just what my buddy was telling me. He was pretty good with the lore. He's played all the games, he's whatnot. I'm pretty sure he's read some of the books, I don't know. But he knows a bunch of lore, and I did some research, and turns out that's how it was. And the movie got it wrong. The king looks at Corona in the movie, and he's like, you said killing my queen would bring you honor to the Horde, to your orcs. Killing me would make you a saint? I can't remember the word he used. Like, you would be the saint of the orcs. You would become the leader of all orcs, or you would become the leader of the Horde if you kill me, basically what he said. It would bring you more than honor, it would bring you leadership or something like that. And then you can work on creating peace between the orcs and humans. That's basically what he said to her. And she's like, no, I don't want to. She's crying because she loves the humans in the movie. And he turns towards Blackhand, and he acts like he's about to engage. And she realizes she has no choice. If she wants peace to happen between humans and orcs, she has to do this. So she takes this knife that was given to her by the queen, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was the queen. Yeah, the queen gave it to her. And stabs him in the neck. And he knew it was coming. As soon as she wrapped her arms around him, he was like, just do it. So she stabs him, and she's bawling, and then she gets brought up into the air. All the orcs are carrying her around, and they're flinging his dead body around like it's a rag doll because they're so fucking strong. And they're just celebrating it, and Gul'dan's like, oh yeah, you're you've gotten massive honor or something like that. And he's got her standing there, and all the orcs are cheering to her and doing her Loktar Ogar thing to her and whatnot. And so that's pretty much how that happens. And then Lothar shows up with his griffin. The griffin comes down and just instantly slaughters like 10 of them. Just lands on them, just does this crazy rake thing with its feet, slices up a whole bunch of orcs. They all die instantly, and it's single-handedly taking on like 50 orcs, not getting hurt even in the slightest. That's how badass this griffin was. And that's why the griffins at Flight Masters in World of Warcraft are so goddamn powerful. Like back in vanilla, if you were fully geared, level 60 fully geared, and you attacked a Flight Master, those griffins were going to fuck you up. Nowadays, level 100s can take on the level 60 elite griffins with no problem, because they never decided to scale up the griffins, which is stupid. They really should scale the griffins up to level 110 elites that are almost impossible to kill without a full raid. That's how powerful these fucking griffins are. So, you know, the griffins wreaking havoc on orcs and stuff, and Lothar grabs a hold of the king's body and gets on the griffin real quick and tries to take off, and Blackhand grabs the griffin and slams it to the ground. Here comes the tears again. I think he killed the griffin because he slammed it down hard. I think the griffin's dead. So I'm not crying, but I'm tearing up real bad. They're streaming down the sides of my face. And Lothar wakes up and he's in the middle of a ring, because the orcs have this ritual where it's you challenge a higher up, or you challenge another orc, and it becomes like a ring of death. You know, there's a ring of orcs just in a circle around the two combatants, and they have to fight to the death without help from any other orc, and it's just how they do. That's a ritual. It's called a something. I can't remember what it's called. So Lothar gets stuck in this ritual with Blackhand, and Blackhand's all mutated from the Fel, because Gul'dan gave him a whole bunch of Fel power that came from like 4 orcs. There was like 4 Fel orcs he sacrificed. He pulled all the Fel energy out of them and tossed it all to Blackhand. So Blackhand's got like 4 Fel orcs worth of Felness in him, and he gets all huge and beefy, and he's got this crazy hand because he's lost his hand earlier in the movie. I can't remember how that happened, so that's why I didn't bring it up. But basically, he lost his hand, and oh yeah, it's because he was going to sacrifice his hand. He put inside a Fel thing. It was a brazier that was shooting out Fel flames, and he stuck his hand in there because he was going to kill himself, and Durotar cut off the pit that was disintegrating so that he still had his self. He didn't die, so he lost his hand that way. And once he received Fel energy from Gul'dan, he grew this like claw thing. It was like this spiky claw thing coming out of his wrist, and it was fucking crazy. And you got big ass Blackhand, and you got little old Lothar with his sword, and Blackhand's all big, and he's fast for a big fucker. He's real fast, and they charge at each other. And fucking Lothar, he just slides between his legs, chops Blackhand's nuts in half. You know, that's gonna hurt really bad. So Blackhand's all like, "Arr!" And he gets up and shoves his sword straight through Blackhand's chest, kills him 2 hits in a matter of 5 seconds. That's how long the battle lasted. And you'd think that would piss you off. You're like, oh, such an epic battle, and it only lasted a couple seconds? What the fuck? No, it was epic. And I was just like, yeah! Kill him, Lothar! Yeah, it was epic, yeah! And I was so happy. I was just so excited. The fucking Blackhand finally got what it deserved. You know, all the orcs at this point respect Lothar for being such a badass. They're all doing this thing where he's walking towards the king's body, which is on the other side of the field, and he's walking through the orcs, and Gul'dan's like, kill him! Kill him! And none of them are listening to Gul'dan. They're all doing the Oktar Ogar to Lothar and letting him through, and he gets the king, and he puts it on the back of the griffin, and he takes off, and Gul'dan's all freaking out, and Corona's basically like, you can fuck off, basically, is what she said. You can fuck off, nobody's listening to you, you're just destroying us, blah, blah, blah. And here's another thing the movie got wrong from the lore. Gul'dan was supposed to be killed there. Apparently, he was supposed to die. But he lives in the movie. How this is going to play out in the next movies, I don't know. Because apparently, they're planning on doing Warcraft, which is the one that's out now. And then they're going to do a Warcraft 2, which is based off the Warcraft 2 game. And then they're going to do a movie for Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne. And hopefully, eventually, they'll do one for World of Warcraft. That would be amazing. I would love to see the Lich King. I would love to see Illidan. I would love to see Deathwing. I would love to see all of these in movie form. But anyways, so Gul'dan was supposed to die in this movie, but he didn't. So, meh. whatever. It was still awesome. I don't even care that he lived. I mean, honestly, I'm glad he lived because Gul'dan is my favorite villain. And then probably Arthas, because I always said Arthas was my favorite villain. But I have to say, I think Gul'dan has taken that #1 spot, dropping Arthas, the Lich King, down to #2. But anyways, so, you know, that happened and whatnot. I can't remember any more details, so that's basically my little review of the movie. It was just incredible. It starts off with my impressions of the movie, and it ends up being a review of the movie. That's why I kind of cut it into 2 bits, where the first bit is me talking about how I thought, and then the next bit was me talking about the movie, which I guess is like a review. I don't know. I don't know how these things work. I'm just ranting about how awesome the movie was. It was incredible. So, you guys should really check it out. If you haven't seen the movie, you gotta watch it. And if you're not gonna watch it at the movies, theaters, and you're not gonna buy it on DVD, if you're one of those people who insists on torrenting movies, try and at least find a 720p version. Try to, because you're not gonna get a 1080p as a torrent, and it's just not gonna happen. So try to find at least a good quality one, because if you get some shitty quality bootleg, the movie's gonna be epic, but it's not gonna be nearly as epic as it would be in high quality. So, I suggest you guys check out the movie, because it's my #1 favorite movie of all time now. And that's saying something, because there's a lot of movies that were tied for #1 for a long time. Some of the Harry Potter movies, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, all these really, really, really good movies. The Last Samurai with, what's his face? I can't remember his name right now. Anyways, all these really, really good movies that were tied for #1 have been dropped down, and Warcraft the movie has taken its place as #1. And it's not, like I said before, it's not just because I'm a gamer. Even if I've never played a game in my life, this would be one of my favorite movies, because it was made that good. So that's all I got to say on the movie. I just really wanted to make a video ranting about how awesome the movie was, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, throw me a like. Subscribe if you want to see some more videos on random things, mostly gameplay. Check out my Patreon, where there will be a link in the description below. And leave me some comments. Tell me what you guys thought. If you've seen the movie, tell me how you felt about the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, tell me what you thought about my video. If you did watch the spoilers, if you haven't seen the movie and you watched the spoiler section of this, then you did it to yourself. You can't blame me. I gave you like 20 seconds to click off the video. So, let me know in the comments what you guys thought. I'll see you guys later. Peace!